Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to this WrestleMania 36 Day 1 review video. We've got so much to go through. We've got one of the best WrestleMania segments I have ever seen. And honestly, this was a roller coaster of a WrestleMania for me because I thought it started off pretty poor. I personally was disappointed with how the Performance Center looked. Didn't feel like it felt that much different to Raw and Smackdown. The staging was very much the same. There was nothing that's really been added outside of the giant WrestleMania sign, which was cool. That was a nice addition. But really, outside of that, I couldn't tell you anything that was any different. Maybe a couple of LED screens over by the entrance stage, but again, I was expecting so much more. Now, I know that they didn't have a great deal of time, and we actually were doing a watch-along for Day 1 live reactions that we do on the channel. Someone pointed out a very good point. You need a lot of people to set up big stages. And obviously, with the restrictions at the moment, you can't have large groups of people. Otherwise, there would have been a crowd. So not only can you not have a crowd, but you can't have loads of technicians. So I hadn't really considered that before watching this show. And I really expected something bigger, something more impressive than what we got. Because what we got was basically Raw, SmackDown, NXT. But as we said, there was the large WrestleMania 36 sign, and clearly the focus was very different to a normal WrestleMania. This had no, or next to no, backstage moments. There was no like legends here. You know, like how sometimes at the start of Mania we get Hulk Hogan, or there might be a little vignette with some backstage legends, thinking like the Boogeyman and people like that. There was nothing. It was literally small entrance. No one got a major entrance. It was small entrances all night into the match, and then into a video package, into the next match, maybe an interview, but there weren't many, and it was just match, video package, match, video package. It was very simple. It was a very simple WrestleMania, and I've got to be honest, I struggled with it at the start. I really, really struggled with it, but before we get to that, let's talk about the Kickoff Show, because there was a match on the Kickoff Show. That was Drew Gulak versus Cesaro. I thought this match was good. It had some really great moments. There was one sequence where Drew Gulak slid under the legs of Cesaro and had to like spring himself backwards to get at Cesaro, and it was just a nice little sequence. Cesaro doing the aeroplane spin, but with no hands to hold Drew Gulak on with. He literally just spun around with him on his shoulders, which I thought looked awesome. So a few nice little moments in there, but for me, the wrong person won, because Drew Gulak is meant to be kind of helping Daniel, training Daniel, improving Daniel, yet on the Kickoff Show, he's just lost his own match. Like, if someone was training me or trying to improve me, then I would at least expect that they could win their own matches. So I thought it was the wrong result, and I was quite surprised. I didn't see the benefit in Cesaro picking up the victory there, but it was what it was. I didn't dwell on it for too long. And that was the Kickoff Show. I thought the rest of the Kickoff Show, which was video packages and all done from a CGI studio, was very reminiscent of the Saudi shows, and I was pretty underwhelmed, to be honest. I found myself kind of getting a bit distracted, a bit bored, having a look on Twitter. It didn't excite me for the show, but they did what they could under the circumstances, so I suppose they can't really be blamed for that. But again, I think for the majority of this WrestleMania, I was just expecting more, and I never got like those expectations really met until the end of WrestleMania, and of course we are going to come to that. We then move to the beginning of the broadcast, and Stephanie McMahon with a really great promo. Again, very simple. She was stood in what felt like a CGI studio, and she seemed to like speak from the heart, saying that, you know, the world was going through some struggles, and you know, she's really grateful that we've invited them into our homes, and for the next few hours maybe we can put all of our concerns and other worries to one side and kind of unite as a wrestling family, because this is WrestleMania. And it had a nice feel to it. It was kind of like addressing the fact that there was no crowd, and kind of briefly explaining why, and kind of really trying to focus us on the fact that, you know, for the next few hours we can put all of our worries aside and just be entertained. So it was simple, but I liked it. It kind of felt like the right thing to do. Kabuki Warriors versus Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. Kind of felt like this was the wrong match to start the show with, because I agree with what our watch-along chat was saying. I think the ladder match would have made a better start. You want fast-paced, you want like big spots and things to really get the ball rolling, whereas here you didn't really get any of that. You just kind of got Asuka making a lot of noise and dancing around, and some nice you know, transitions and sequences in the ring, but not the best opening match in my opinion. We did get new champions, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross beating the Kabuki Warriors, and the match was fine. It was all right. Never seemed to really get out of the lower gears for me. Next up, we got Elias versus King Corbin, and I think you can see where I'm struggling here. So I think the wrong person won on the Kickoff Show. The first match isn't the match that I would have had start WrestleMania. It's not really big or impressive enough. Then we go to Elias and King Corbin. They'd been teasing that Elias might not make it to the show, and the big surprise was he did, and they had a match, and I was pretty bored, because they could have had a fantastic match. Like, this match was okay. I mean, it wasn't amazing. It was okay. It was perfectly fine for Raw or SmackDown, but it went a little bit long. It felt like it outstayed its welcome. But the bigger problem for me is that I just did not care about this match going into this show, and they were always going to struggle to make me care, because Elias just has no momentum. We haven't seen a great deal of him. King Corbin is a heel that, you know, I really hate, but I don't care enough about Elias to cheer for Elias, or, you know, I don't care enough about Corbin to boo Corbin. So I just wanted this match to be done, to be honest. So yeah, not the biggest fan of this match, but the match itself was okay. Just kind of TV standard, and certainly not WrestleMania level. Next, we got Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. Becky arriving in a truck again. I kind of feel like that would have been more impressive if we hadn't have seen that truck before. Shayna Baszler was very confident going into this. I thought she looked good on the go-home shows and everything, but yeah, this match didn't quite get to the levels I wanted it to. I felt like it was quite short, and obviously the end was a victory for Becky, but yeah, it didn't really do anything for me. It kind of felt like Shayna could get the win, and Becky just, you know, manages to keep Shayna's shoulders down, get the 3. You're kind of waiting for maybe Ronda or Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir, but no one comes out. The screen fades to black, and again, I'm kind of left a little bit underwhelmed. So honestly, by this point, I mean, we're 4 matches in, including the Kickoff Show, and I'm probably rating this WrestleMania about a 3.5, and even that would feel generous, but things start to improve around this point. Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn, I think was a decent match. There was a lot of running around, and Nakamura getting involved, and Cesaro getting involved, and Drew Gulak getting involved. Actually, when you take all of that away, the match itself isn't very long. I was quite surprised that Sami Zayn picked up the victory. I wasn't expecting that. I thought that Gulak and Daniel Bryan had been working on, improving Daniel's weaknesses. So this would be where he would get the IC title. So Gulak losing on the pre-show, Daniel losing here, raises big questions moving forward. And if Sami Zayn struggles to have a proper match, because of, health concerns or whatever it might be, then is he really the right person to continue to carry the IC title? I love Sami Zayn, but does feel like his last match was a multi-man match. He wasn't in it for long. This one had a lot of tomfoolery at the start of it. So, yeah, I just kind of question as to whether he's the right person right now to be carrying the IC title. I was really pleased he got it, but I'm equally as amazed he didn't drop it here. So the match itself was good, not great. So again, maybe I'm around a 4 at this point. Things not going great. But they start to improve now. We've got Kofi Kingston, John Morrison, Jimmy Uso. This match is great. This is really, really good. We're talking like 7.5, 8 out of 10. Like, really good match. Couple of spots in here, like I remember Jimmy Uso on the barricade, and he had a ladder thrown at him. There was quite a few impressive ladder spots as well. These three with a crowd, I think that match would have gone even higher on my ratings, but like all the matches tonight, they did suffer without a crowd. I don't want to keep talking about that because we knew that going into it. But, this would have benefited from some this is awesome chants or, shocked expressions and things along those lines, because it certainly had those moments. So the end of this kind of confused me a little because they all had their hands on the gold holder when they unclasped it. But it was John Morrison that managed to grab the belts first. So, I don't know, something a bit different. I think I just wanted, after a great match like that, just a nice, simple finish. And sadly, that's not what we got. So, I kind of came out of it thinking, okay, that was unique, but it's not really the finish that I wanted. So, you're never going to get everything that you want. So, I'll just praise them for a great match. And as I said, the end itself, it wasn't bad, but it didn't like, I wasn't falling off my chair in amazement or anything. Like, I just didn't feel like it was necessary. So it is what it is. Things get great now. Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. I don't really understand why they did the match twice. Obviously, we got the first match and Seth Rollins using the bell. Seth Rollins, we got to talk about his ring attire as well, coming out all in white. And Kevin Owens coming out in his KO Mania 4 shirt. I can see both of those being made into Mattel figures. But, this was a very good match. Lots of back and forth. Probably my favourite match up until this point. It'd be right up there with the ladder match. The reason why I say this would be right up there is because of that moment. Obviously, Kevin Owens wins the first match by DQ, challenges Seth to another match, this time no DQ. And obviously he wins that with a stunner as well. So great night for Kevin Owens, especially with that moment, the elbow drop off the sign, a real WrestleMania moment, and again, one that would have been so great with a crowd. Next, we got Goldberg versus Braun Strowman. I really felt like Strowman was going to get this. I think if it was Roman would have won this, because 4 spears Braun kicked out of, and then Braun hits, I think, 4 power slams, and Braun wins the title. It didn't really have much in the way of a story other than Braun surviving the 4 spears. I do like Goldberg matches because they're not going to take long. So everything that happens, you're waiting for the end, and the end is going to come very quickly. So you're kind of watching, and I suppose when he was hitting all of those spears, I was a little bit concerned that the match was going to end in a squash, and that would have been it. So at least we got Braun winning, but I would say this is probably the worst match of the night because there just wasn't really much to it. But that brings us to the final match of the night. And honestly, by this point, I'm probably around a 4, 4, 5, maybe a 5 out of 10. It's really not been a great show up until this point. I'd say the ladder match and Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins have really been the only high points for me. But the Undertaker versus AJ Styles, the Boneyard match, is one of the best things I've ever seen at WrestleMania. I cannot put this over enough, because the way to think about this match is Undertaker and AJ Styles are given 20 minutes, right? 20, 25 minutes to do something, anything, to get people talking, to entertain us, to create an OMG moment, okay? So they're given 20, 25 minutes. Now, if it's a match in the ring, they're going to have to do something like Undertaker Shawn, Undertaker Triple H, something along those lines. One of those legendary matches to get people talking, to create that OMG moment. They obviously didn't do that. They did a Boneyard match. This was filmed in a cemetery, and there's so much to talk about with this that it kind of deserves its own video. I've got a separate reaction video because I didn't want to take anything out. I mean, I feel like from start to finish, I'm talking about so much because there's so much in there. Starts with a hearse, looks like druids. You think it's Undertaker, it turns out it's AJ making fun of the dead man. Then Undertaker comes down on a bike, it's American Badass. We get Metallica music. Kind of sounded like Metallica. I wasn't sure if it was or if it wasn't, but that has now been confirmed that it was Metallica. And just from start to finish, the way that Undertaker kept referring to AJ as boy, and the way that, he constantly was moving forward and trying to get AJ Styles, and AJ constantly in retreat, using every trick that he could. He had Gallows, he had Anderson, the fence paneling dropped down, there was all these druids, Undertaker having to survive all of that. Of course, he gets overwhelmed, he ends up in the grave. I honestly thought it was the end. Just before the grave moment, Undertaker sticking up the middle finger, it felt like the last act of defiance. And Undertaker in the grave. My only criticism here is when AJ starts to fill in that grave. I don't know how Undertaker got up and out and got round the back of AJ to surprise him. Clearly AJ doesn't know either, and there's, probably a few supernatural things going on there. Either that or he's really good at, sneaking past AJ when AJ wasn't looking. But I feel that would have been a better moment had Kane had helped Undertaker or Sting had helped Undertaker. I kind of feel like that would have been a really, really special moment. But as it was, it kind of left me questioning how did he do that. So I kind of felt there was a better way of telling that part of this story. Then obviously they go up onto the roof. Undertaker throws his arms in the air. Pyro goes off. Fire goes off. He ends up choke slamming AJ off a roof down to the ground. AJ's pleading and all this. And I love how Undertaker says we're only just getting started. And as I said, he keeps calling him boy. And this was a sadistic Undertaker. This was more sadistic than we're used to seeing, certainly with the dead man who never speaks, but actually hearing him saying we're just getting started, this is what you wanted, say my wife's name now, and all that kind of dialogue really added layers to this. Obviously the end result is Undertaker saying you just gave me a great fight, no one's given me a fight like that in a long time, you should be proud of yourself. He really makes AJ think that he's going to let him walk away. And then, of course, he ends up, I think, kicking him into the grave, dumping the dirt on. We see AJ's hand sticking out of the dirt. It's just WWE's way of letting you know that he's still alive. He's still there. And obviously, Undertaker jumps on his bike. We get the Undertaker logo I think it's like beamed onto the side of that building, and then he drives away. From start to finish, this is shot like a movie. It is storytelling. Like, it's just, it's incredible. It was incredible. It is like a movie. It is like a TV show. I know people are saying, I can't really score this. It's not really a match. Like, you can tell that it's been recorded with several different takes, several different cameras, different camera angles. Like, it's so produced that you can't really look at this and say that it's one of the best matches of all time, because is it a match? Is it a segment? To be honest, I don't care. I'm gonna score it as a piece of entertainment, and as a piece of entertainment, as 20 to 25 minutes in WrestleMania history, it's one of the best things I've ever seen in WrestleMania history. It is fantastic. So, yeah, it's got me really excited for the Firefly Funhouse. I actually think day 2 looks better than day 1. We've got, obviously, Edge and Orton. We've got Brock and Drew. We've got Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, and that's going to be very important, because if Charlotte wins, that's got big repercussions for NXT. NXT might gain a queen. So that's a pretty big match. And then, of course, the big one, John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, the Firefly Funhouse match. Now, if that's going to be even close to the Boneyard match, absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I would say I was at, say, a 4.5 or a 5, around that ballpark. That main event gets 2 marks out of 10 all for itself. Maybe even more so. I think my final score for day 1 would be around a 7 out of 10. I really struggled with the start, but things did improve, and that ending was absolutely fantastic. So hopefully day 2 can better that. I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe, because we're doing videos every single day, watch-alongs as well. So you can join us for pay-per-views, Raws, Smackdowns, NXT, NWA. We pretty much stream every single day. So really appreciate you joining us. I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit the subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.